to have a ceremony at the new briefing room at the White House. There it is, a live picture of it. President Bush will come out and dedicate the new James Brady briefing room. It was designated as such by President Clinton back toward the end of his term. James Brady, of course, Ronald Reagan's press secretary, who was shot during that shooting at the Washington Hilton Hotel back in the early 1980s. This has been a long renovation. It's been going on since last year. The White House press corps was kicked out of that to the White House Convention Center over on Jackson Place, just across the street. And while it's still built over the swimming pool, certainly the room looks tremendously different than it did. That's Steve Scully, who's the president of the White House Correspondents Association.
In just a moment, President
Listen in here.
Bush will officially reopen this facility, the Brady Briefing Room. And on behalf of the White House press corps, I'm able to offer something that those of us in the media rarely give this president or any president a thank you. Let me extend that also. Let me extend that to Mrs. Bush for her efforts in this project, and to Tony Snow, White House press secretary. Now, whoever said nostalgia isn't what it used to be must have been thinking of the old briefing room. All of us here knew what the conditions were like, the working conditions day in and day out, and unless you saw it in person, you had no idea just how run down this place had become. So, 3 years ago, the Correspondents Association and this White House embarked on a total 21st century renovation project with this promise. If we moved out during the renovation work, we would move back in. And so today, that promise is realized. Now, a little history about this room. You like that? We still stand above a swimming pool used by 6 presidents, from Roosevelt to Nixon, each of whom undoubtedly was tempted from time to time to drown some of our predecessors in the White House press corps. Now, Mr. President, you may be feeling that way right about now as well. But back in 1969, President Nixon had thought about moving us across the street.
Change tactics.
Like I was saying, back in 1969, President Nixon planned to move us across the street to the old Executive Office building, and that might have happened were it not for the perseverance of Merriman Smith and Helen Thomas of UPI. They were among the reporters who fought to keep us here in this location. They argued that in order for us to do our job, we needed to be here, just a few feet from the Oval Office and even closer to the White House press secretary. And nowhere else is there a working press office this close to the head of state. Now, when he served in the White House, Thomas Jefferson often had a few choice words about the press. He once remarked that the most accurate part of newspapers could be found in the advertisements. Yet, 3 years before his death, he remarked to a fellow Virginian, John Tyler, he said, "The only security we have is in a free press." Now, our third president understood that our Constitution works and our democracy is preserved only when a free and open press hold elected officials accountable. And so this brand new facility, Mr. President, allows us to do just that. A year after moving out, we are moving back, and we're ready with our questions. And so please welcome our distinguished neighbors from down the hall, Press Secretary Tony Snow, Mrs. Bush, Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. I like a good short introduction. Yeah. After all, it is your room. Yeah. Welcome back to the West Wing. We missed you. Sort of. I can already tell this place has improved. The last time I was in here to hold a press conference, I broke out into a sweat, not because of your questions, but because of the climate. The air conditioner seems to work well. I hope the facility suits your needs. I really do. The relationship between the president and the press is a unique relationship, and it's a necessary relationship. I enjoy it. I hope you do. You know, as I say, sometimes you don't like the decisions I make, and sometimes I don't like the way you write about the decisions. But nevertheless, it's a really important part of our process. And the fact that you were working in substandard conditions just wasn't right. It really wasn't. And so my White House worked with Steve and Ann, worked with Mark Smith to get it right. And I think it's going to benefit future presidents and future White House press corps. to be working in